are still left with some presentation, so I'm going to go back to that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go back to that. Okay, so I hope that this is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, thanks, Harshita. Okay, yeah, I think we were on slide 7. Here, right, Harshita? We were here?
Yes, ma'am, I think we were 6th point, and after that, our regulation was there, ma'am. Can we just go back?
Yeah, I know, but all this is over.
So I think after from 6th point, we have to start, ma'am.
6 point, मतलब ये वाला registration under Central Excise Act.
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा,
The
ठीक
next slide. Yeah,
ठीक
right.
है. Okay, fine. ठीक है. Okay, so depending on the nature of your product, depending on which sector you are going to apply for registration in, suppose you're manufacturing fruit and vegetable based products, then you have to get clearances from the Deputy Director of Fruit and Vegetable Preservation, Ministry of Agriculture under the Government of India. For registration under of the unit under a partnership, of course, you have to go to the registrar of partnership firms. And for registration of manufacturing of electronic items under the decentralized category, you have to go to the state level technical committee under the Directorate of Industries. And for electronic items other than the decentralized items, you have to go to the Development Commissioner, Small Scale Industries through the state
Excuse me,
directorate.
ma'am.
Yes, Harshita?
I'm sorry for like interrupting, but I think, ma'am, this was also covered. We were on 16th point, I think.
I also had a feeling that we'd covered it. ठीक है, so 16th point was this, na? The effluent disposal,
Yes.
gaseous waste and all that.
Yes,
ठीक
ma'am.
है,
We have to
these
start from the next
thanks,
slide.
thanks. ठीक है, thanks, Harshita.
Yes.
So these days it is becoming very important given the nature of our climate change and so much of problems that we are facing as a planet, that in case you are an industry that uses water and it involves effluent disposal, gaseous waste, you can see the condition of the Yamuna in Delhi, then you have to get a clearance from Directorate of Public Health of the state government, district health officer of that particular district. So I wonder what these agencies are doing anyways. For production and sale of firecrackers, explosives and related goods, you have to get a license from district collector under Explosive Act. For benefit of purchases made for government, I think we had done this also, Harshita, because I remember talking about GEM. Okay, so I think even this is done.
We were supposed to start from 16th point. Okay, we can just skip the next slide, I think, ma'am.
So I think this is over. This was just the clearances that we needed. And then, of course, if you have more than 20 employees in your organization, then you have to set up a provident fund for them. Okay. This is governed by the Provident Fund Act of 1952. ESI stands for Employee State Insurance. You have to provide insurance to your employees, and you have to cut income tax, including the tax deducted at source. This is especially true for central government employees because all of our taxes are cut, but at least the TDS is cut for all registered companies also. So all factories and establishments employing 20 employees or more are mandatorily required to register with the Provident Fund authorities. A scheme wherein an employer and an employee contribute an equal sum of 12% each of basic salary plus DA per month. The salary of 15,000 per annum is the limit for calculation of Provident Fund. That is 1,800 rupees per month. So if you have an employee that has a salary of more than 15,000 per annum, then you have to put in the PF, the Provident Fund. However, if employers wish, they can go for higher limit of salary. Interest earned is also credited to the Provident Fund account holder. Given at the time of retirement, also provisions are there for withdrawal before retirement for house purchase, marriage, sickness, and employee exceeding threshold salary, though employees do not withdraw as it earns tax-free interest. So this is one of the best debt instruments or debt investments in the country today because the interest is tax-free. And generally the Provident Fund authorities give the highest interest rate available in the country at that time. So no one wants to touch their Provident Fund. Okay. Employees can also deposit more than 12% if they desire. So if any student has any doubt, any question, you can please ask. Then the ESI is governed by the ESI Act of 1948, a scheme of social insurance against the impact of sickness, maternity, disablement, death due to the employment related injury and to provide medical care. Before this, we used to have the Workmen Compensation Act, when predominantly the workplace was factories. Okay, but now it has been repealed and it's replaced by the ESI. Many hospitals and healthcare facilities have been set up for the employees and their family members who are drawing wages or salaries up to 21,000 per month. A contribution of 4.75% by employers and 1.75% by employees is made per month. It is mandatory for factories and establishments employing 10 people or more. So you have to get into a lot of legal funds, insurance, all of this the moment you have 10 employees or 20 employees, as in the case of Provident Fund. Then these are the current income tax rates which are there. Of course, all of you know that income tax rates keep changing every year. Every year when the government presents a budget, they may come up with different tax rates. But right now, for the financial year of April-March 2021, at the annual income up to 2,50,000 is tax free, and from 2,50,000 1 rupee to 5 lakhs, you have to pay 5% of total income exceeding 2.5 lakhs. And for 5 lakh 1 rupees to 10 lakhs, you have to pay 12,500, which is a lump sum, plus 20% of the total income exceeding 5 lakhs. And if you have an income of more than 10 lakhs, then you have to pay 112,500 plus 30% of total income exceeding 10 lakhs. For senior citizens, that is between the age of 60 to 80 years, the basic exemption instead of 2,50,000 is 3 lakhs, but other rates remain the same. And for super senior citizens, that is for an age exceeding 80 years, the basic exemption is 5 lakhs and other rates are the same. Okay. And there's a lot of hue and cry amongst the super senior citizens because they do believe that they are still being taxed even though they don't have a proper salaried source of income, because the retirement age in India is 65. Okay, but still these are the rates. Okay, and tax rebate under section 87A allowed to individual taxpayers up to a maximum of 12,500, that is on a total income of rupees 5 lakhs. So depending on what are the tax rates, you have to look at your employees and you have to deduct tax at source. Then you also have to pay surcharge and health and education cess, which is HEC, on the income tax. So this is basically levied at high net worth individuals. So for people who are earning between 50 lakhs to 1 crore, it is 10%. For people who are earning 1 crores to 2 crores, it's 15%. For 2 crores to 5 crores, it's 25%. And for 5 crores and above, it is 37% on the income tax. And in case of a partnership or LLP, a flat rate of 30% of income tax is applicable and a surcharge at the rate of 12% is applicable where total income exceeds 1 crore. And in addition, higher education cess at the rate of 4% is applicable on the income tax and surcharge. Okay. So these are some tax rates. And for income tax on companies, for domestic companies where the turnover does not exceed 400 crores, it's 25% plus the surcharges. And for other companies, it is 30% plus HEC. Plus, there is a surcharge of 7% where the net income is rupees 1 to 10 crores and surcharge at 12% where your net income exceeds 10 crores. For foreign companies, there's a flat tax rate of 40% and HEC at the rate of 4%. Plus, you have a surcharge of 2% where net income is 1 to 10 crores and surcharge at the rate of 5% where net income exceeds 10 crores. Okay, so this is also there. Now, TDS is a mechanism that has been introduced by Income Tax Department under which a person responsible to pay for availing services or dividend interest etc. is supposed to deduct a certain percentage of income as tax to treasury. It includes salary, professional fee, rent, contractual obligation, etc. Okay. And the table in the next slide indicates the rates of TDS which have been reduced by 25% for 14th May 2020 to 31st March 21 due to COVID. Where the receiver does not provide a PAN or Aadhaar, there will be no reduction of rates in TDS. But these days it's mandatory to submit your PAN or your Aadhaar details to your organization. Okay. So these are the TDS rates which are applicable on these different income heads. Salary, interest on securities, dividend, interest on bank या post office deposits, contractor single, contractor consolidated, rent on plant and machinery or land or building, professional fee, technical fee, director's fee, all of this. Okay. So if anyone is paying you under any of these heads, they are supposed to take a basic TDS at these rates. Okay. And special rates of income tax for companies. For domestic companies, the one-time option, which is irreversible, is that in case you have opted for 115 BA, then the tax at the rate and surcharge would be 25% plus nil. And 115 BAA section is 22% plus 10%, and 115 BAB is 15% plus 10%. Basically, 115 BAA and 115 BAB sections are exempted from the payment of minimum alternate tax. Okay. So these are just sections, and as I've advised you, it's always a good idea as a startup to have a chartered accountant on board so that he or she is clued in with the latest tax rates and the clauses and helps you file your returns in a proper way instead of trying to do it yourself. Okay, so this was just a little about the provident funds and tax rates, employee state insurance and all of that. Any doubts, any questions so far? Kamya, Nitesh, Satvik, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Kamya, last time you said that you had a question, but I think you were not there in the last class. Do you remember your question?
Ma'am, actually, I want to request that if possible, can all the recordings be uploaded on Moodle because it's more handy and easy.
This was your question.
No, no, ma'am, this was my request. That only I want to ask.
Harshika, is it possible to do that?
Ma'am, we can try. We can download the recordings and upload there, but all the recordings are already there on Teams.
Yeah, Kamya, why don't you just, since you're already sitting on Teams, why don't you just download it from here?
Okay, ma'am, sure.
Okay, fine. So I think this is taken care of. Now I will come on to the last PPT. Okay, we have SEZs or special economic zones, and they are basically needed to provide a level playing field, particularly in view of a threat of being uncompetitive vis-a-vis East Asian economies. South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong achieved an average growth rate exceeding 7% per annum for 2 decades, when our economy was growing at 3 to 4% and industrialization was not strong. And so that is why the government felt that we need concentrated special economic zones where we can give incentives to our companies, monitor them, and see that they actually are able to compete with our East Asian neighbors. In the 1950s, India embarked on a big program of industrialization, and significant investments were made in steel, coal, heavy industry, aluminium, transport sector, etc. But technological obsolescence over the years, 3 wars with China and Pakistan in 9 years, and droughts in large areas diverted scarce resources to other priority or non-industrial sectors. And the result was an uncompetitive industry except for a few. So advantages of setting up a unit in an SEZ is that you have duty-free imports, domestic procurement of goods for development, operation and maintenance. You don't have to pay any duties. You have 100% exemption of export income for the first 5 years. So you don't have to pay any taxes on your exports for the first 5 years, 50% for the next 5 years, and 50% of the plowed back export profit for the next 5 years. Thus, significant exemption and savings are given in corporate taxation. GST is zero rated. Earlier, CST, ST, other levies by state governments were being charged and the units had to approach different agencies. Now we only have GST, but even that is zero. Single window clearance for central and state level approvals. Then right now we have 262 SEZs which are operational and 358 which have been approved in different states in different sectors. IT, ITES, semiconductor, pharma, auto, apparel, food processing, biotechnology, aerospace, transport engineering, and the likes. And we also have specialized SEZs like IT enabled services, multi product SEZs as well. Thus, significant cost reduction, exemption from day-to-day hassles, priority in dealings with regulatory bodies, availability of all infrastructure facilities, and overall savings can be expected if a unit is set up in a SEZ. So it's a very major suggestion to all of you who are wanting to set up their startup, that in case you can set it up in a SEZ, and in case you're looking at importing material or a lot of procurement or even exports as a revenue model, then in that case you will draw significant advantages if you are located within an SEZ. Okay. So these were some of the regulatory and infrastructural as well as legal aspects that startups have to take care of and they have to think about. Okay, so this brings us to an official end of to your syllabus, but of course we still have a few classes left. We have your end term presentations which are also due on 9th and 10th. So between this time and that time, in case any one of you wants any doubts to be resolved, any other sessions, any other topics to be covered, you can please let me know. Or if you feel that there is any doubt remaining from whatever we have covered in class, then also you can let me know. So in this course, we looked at not just the financial management that goes around a startup in terms of projections of financial statements like balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flows, but we also looked at the ratios which are important for startups in terms of cash burn rates, additional funds required and all. We looked at different operating schedules in terms of production schedule, sales schedules, cost of goods sold schedules, and so on. We looked at how we can create a cash budget for a company, and through that, how we can determine how much of cash would be required. Then we looked at break-even analysis, how a company can get survival revenues, and then we moved on to valuations of a startup where we looked at not just quantitative techniques but also qualitative tools and techniques. We saw how the equity gets divided, how shares are priced with subsequent rounds of funding. We looked at harvesting of a business venture through IPO, MBO, LBO. We looked at the different kinds of compliance issues that are required in terms of setting up your company in a SEZ, or if you have to register your company, then what are the documents required, compliance is required, and so on. So I think we've covered a significant proportion of the financial management and compliance issues around startups. So if there are any doubts, any questions, you may please ask. Aniket, any doubts, any questions? Kamya, Nitesh, Satvik? Anyone? बताओ अनिकेत, इज इट ओके? ओके, अनिकेत ने मैसेज लिख दिया नो मैम, ठीक है. काम्या, नितेश, सात्विक, I guess these people have just logged in and they are not there also.
Actually, we have to study.
ठीक है, स्टडी कर लो. उसके बाद अगर कुछ डाउट्स हो, कुछ क्वेश्चंस हो नितेश, तो यू कैन ऑलवेज गेट इन टच विद हर्षिता मैम और समृद्धि मैम और मी if you want to clarify any doubts, any questions, anything. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what about, yes, I'm sorry, हाँ Kamya?
Yes, ma'am, the same, that we have to study the topics, and if we'll get the doubt, we'll get back to you.
ठीक है, ठीक है. So I guess that is what we will do. Harshita, as I told you, you can send out an email regarding the numericals and theory. And also, I think you've already sent out an email that even for people who are auditing the course, they have to take their major exam, because if they are absent during the major exam, then they just get an F grade, right?
Yes, ma'am, we have sent that.
ठीक है. And you can also let them know, just like Nitesh and Kamya was saying, that in case, even though the syllabus is over, but in case any student has any doubts, any questions, and they can of course get in touch with you or Samriddhi or me at any point of time. Or otherwise, we'll be anyway meeting on 9th and 10th for the presentations of their end term papers, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. Satvik, you had unmuted yourself. Do you have something to say?
No, ma'am. So, ma'am, what will we be doing in the next class?
नेक्स्ट क्लास में कुछ नहीं है सात्विक, क्योंकि कोर्स तो खत्म हो गया. अनलेस आप लोग बताओ, आपको और कुछ करना है?
मैम, रिवाइज कर सकते हैं.
रिवाइज कर लो तुम लोग.
ओके मैम.
So what do you want me to do? मतलब what inputs do you want from me? सात्विक?
या मैम, आई गेस क्वेश्चंस कर सकते हैं. केसेस.
क्वेश्चंस वगैरह तो हमने तुम लोग को दिए ही हुए हैं ना सात्विक.
हाँ मैम, हाँ.
तो तुम लोग उसको कर लो. तुमने अभी तक किए नहीं है क्या?
किया मैम.
तो फिर और क्या करना चाहते हो तुम लोग? और प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हो?
और क्या कर सकते हैं मैम?
मतलब देखो, तुम लोग अपना रिवाइज कर सकते हो. द रीजन व्हाई आई थिंक इतने जल्दी से कोर्स खत्म हो गया है, बिकॉज तुम लोग ने कुछ सवाल पूछे ही नहीं है. तुम लोग ने सब कुछ मतलब उसको सुन लिया है. आधे से ज्यादा लोग तो क्लास में भी नहीं होते. 3-4 लोग होते हैं. 3-4 सवाल भी पूछ लेंगे तो कितना देर लगेगा. तो कोर्स खत्म हो गया है. तो अब तुम लोग पढ़ाई कर लो. अगर तुम लोग को लगता है कि एज अ क्लास इफ यू वांट सम एक्स्ट्रा टॉपिक्स, देन लेट मी नो. आई विल प्रिपेयर एंड आई विल टीच यू.
ओके मैम.
But that should be for a class. It shouldn't be for 1 or 2 people. अगर तुम्हें कुछ स्पेशली अपने लिए कुछ समझना है, तो that you can reach out personally also to me or to Archita or to Samriddhi ma'am.
ओके मैम.
ठीक है. तो तुम लोग ऐसा क्लास डिसाइड कर लो कि तुम लोग को क्या करना है. अगर तुम लोग को चाहिए कि कोई एक टॉपिक फिर से हम लोग क्लास में करें, क्योंकि क्लास को समझ में नहीं आया है, और तुम्हें लग रहा है कि कुछ नया चीज हम लोग सीख लें, तो क्या सीखने का मन है वो सब हमको बता दो, तो हम लोग क्लास कर लेंगे. वरना अदरवाइज मेरी तरफ से सब इनपुट्स खत्म हो गए. ठीक है सात्विक?
हाँ मैम.
ओके, ग्रेट ग्रेट. ठीक है. एंड अनिकेत, Harshita, who's the CR of this class? It's Abhinav, right? Not Aniket.
Ma'am, yes, it's Abhinav Verma.
हाँ, अनिकेत बताओ.
या मैम.
हाँ बोलो अनिकेत.
मतलब ठीक है, मतलब नेक्स्ट क्लास पे कुछ डिस्कस करके अगर लग रहा है सबको तो बता देंगे आपको.
ठीक है. सो अभिनव तो काफी क्लासेस से आया नहीं है हर्षिता, तो एक बार जस्ट गेट इन टच विद अभिनव. Maybe as a CR he can talk to everyone and figure out in case there's something that we need to do.
Okay, ma'am.
Aniket, you can also give him any suggestions that you have. Okay.
ठीक है
I mean, same goes for Kamya, Nitesh, everyone. ठीक है. So Harshita, beta, please send out that email detailing everything that will now be done, and also tell them that in case as a class they want any specific topic or something, we can have a class around that, but I would need at least 10 people in that. Okay, it shouldn't be for 2-3 people like it is right now. Aniket or Kamya or Nitesh, अगर ये 2-3 लोगों को कुछ है तो they can definitely get in touch with us individually also. Okay, we don't need to have a formal class for 2-3 people.
Fine, ma'am. I'll do that.
ठीक है. ठीक है. So everyone, thank you so much, and please revise everything. Please prepare your end term papers very well for 9th and 10th. Please submit it before that, and all the best to all of you. And I'll see you on 9th. In case we are meeting before that for some class, then you have to let me know and we can meet before that also. Okay. So thanks so much, Harshita, and thanks Aniket, Kamya, and Nitesh. All the very best. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.